What's up again, guys? Brian here at 3TR, and welcome to episode 103 of the People's Questions, as I'm sure you can already tell. This episode I will be giving you some of my own gameplay of Beyond Two Souls, requested by Mark Main. And to start off real simple, because I actually only got questions from 3 of you, so I guess I get my holy trinity of episode 103. I don't know, I seem to find like the number 3 is also always constant in my life for some reason. Anyway, to jump right into you guys' questions, the first 2 come from Mark2356, and you want to know, am I looking forward to the next Batman film? You know, Mark, I've actually been hearing a lot of, kind of speculations and rumors for, Man of Steel 2, or Superman vs. Batman, whatever they're gonna call it eventually, and with every rumor and update that I hear on this film, I'm getting less and less excited for it. And it's clear to me that they're immediately going to try to jump into Justice League, which I honestly don't want them to do. And if that doesn't do as well as I'm sure they hope it will, then they'll have to do individual films going into Batman. And so it's kind of hard to jump from going to Batman and Superman to Justice League back to Batman. So, to be honest, for the first time in probably ever, I'm really not looking forward to the next Batman film at this point in time, just from what I've heard. I mean, maybe if the next 2, DC films are any good, which we don't know at this point, maybe I will be, but at this point in time, I don't even know if we will get another Batman film. Your next question is, what is my favorite game? My favorite game is kind of a dead tie, because it's a difference between what game have I played more than any other game and what was the definitive game that made me the gamer I am today. And the 2 games that come to mind are Final Fantasy VII and Metal Gear Solid 3. I think I've done a whole video talking about why those 2 video games really are the most important video games I've ever played. But yeah, it's still a dead tie. It's been a dead tie for many, many years, and I don't think that tie is ever going to be broken anytime soon. The next 4 questions come from a newbie by the name of GSS765, and you want to know, do I think the Watchmen movie is underrated? I think it's absolutely underrated. Many people believe that you really couldn't do a Watchmen film, and they proved that theory wrong, because I thought they did a really great job with the Watchmen film. I mean, I know they took a lot of liberties and changed a lot of things that were important to the original source material, but I think that what we got was a pretty good quality story, and especially if you get the director's cut, which a lot of people don't even know about, which makes the movie even longer, and it goes even more into depth to things that were established during the film. So yeah, and if you've actually seen my top 10 favorite superhero-based films of all time, I do believe I ranked Watchmen as number 5 or 4. If you look through my history of videos, and you can check that out for yourself. Your next question is, which comic book movie of 2014 do I think will be the best? I'm hoping Days of Future Past is going to be the best, but again, this is another one of those movies where with each new announcement that I'm hearing about this film, I'm getting a little bit less and less excited for it, simply because I'm really tired of them always having to focus on Logan. I mean, let's be honest, Wolverine, we all know that in the movie world, Wolverine is kind of the main guy because of Hugh Jackman, but we all know, if you're a big fan of X-Men, you know that Wolverine is not really the biggest character of the franchise at all. He may be popular, but he's not the biggest character. So I just hope that they don't focus too heavily on Wolverine, and they actually make it about the newer, young Charles Xavier and Eric Magneto. I really hope they focus on that dynamic, because that's what I absolutely loved about First Class. Next question is, would I want a Spyro game for PlayStation 4? You know, I'll be honest, Spyro's actually one of those games I've never really quite gotten into, so I can't really say I would be too excited about Spyro on the PlayStation 4. If I didn't play him during the PlayStation 1 era, then it's highly doubtful that I will be playing him in the PlayStation 4 era. Sorry, PlayStation 1, PlayStation 4. And your next question and final question is, am I looking forward to Mass Effect 4? Yeah, sure. I'm pumped up for it whenever they decide to announce it. I hear it's not really going to be a reboot, but a continuation, but we're not going to be following Shepard, so it'll be really interesting to see which ending that the developers decide to stick with, because as you know, the Mass Effect 3 ending has like multiple endings, so I'm curious if they're going to be able to continue that from the last game, because as we all know, Mass Effect 3 was on the PlayStation 3, and this being on the PlayStation 4, it's like, how are you going to be able to connect the data from a PlayStation 3 game to a PlayStation 4 game? That's the challenge I think they'll have to take on. And then the last 7 questions come from Mark Main, and the first question is actually an old question which I apparently got a little bit mistaken in the last episode, and you want to know, which title intro voice did I like most from the Resident Evil title intros? I think it's a tie between Resident Evils 4 and 6. 4 simply because that was like the first Resident Evil title voice I ever heard of, and I think that 6 did a really good job, but I mean, I think about these title voices is, as the numbers increase, I think it's going to sound kind of more and more ridiculous. Like, could you imagine, like, maybe in a couple of years we're going to get, like, Resident Evil 7, and then in the future, Resident Evil 15, Resident Evil 101, Resident Evil 262, Resident Evil 1256. It's like, come on, end this series, guys, because the more you add the numbers, the higher they go, the more ridiculous that whoever does this voice is going to sound. And your next question is, what do I order from Pizza Hut? The only 2 type of pizzas that I order from Pizza Hut are usually the pineapple and ham or just regular pepperoni. I could eat those 2 for days on end. And I think I tried that once during my college days. The next question is, did I like the Taken movies? I absolutely loved the first Taken movie. I thought that it was a lot simpler. The concept of, you know, Liam Neeson's character's daughter gets kidnapped and he's going to go over to save her. I mean, it was a very self-contained film, and I don't think it needed a sequel, and I think it proved my theory right, because I actually saw the sequel and I thought it was absolutely garbage, and the fact that they're going to do a third one is just kind of puzzles me. It's like, how can you continue it from that? I mean, the first one had such a concrete story that there was no need to continue it. I mean, I can understand the attraction because of how well the film did, but I just don't think there needed to be more Taken films. But the first Taken film is awesome. Your 4th question is my thoughts on Tomb Raider coming to the PlayStation 4. Well, you know, I've seen the graphical comparisons between the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 3, and yeah, sure, it definitely looks a lot better. I might give it a good rental from gameplay since I already own it on the PlayStation 3, so I don't think I'll buy it for the PlayStation 4. And if you guys want to check it out, maybe I'll do some live streams on Twitch and you guys can watch me play as Lara Croft. So those are just my quick thoughts. Your 5th question is, what should the next Crash story be about, and would I want to make it a spin-off or a sequel to the original games? If they're going to bring Crash back, then I would want to keep it simple and just have it be like Crash was on vacation and now Crash is back to show that he still has what he's still looking for an adventure. And I would absolutely want to make it a sequel to the original games, because you want to just, you know, acknowledge that, yeah, Crash has been away for a while, but now he's back and he's ready to kick some ass. And your last 2 questions are, am I a fan of spin-offs and prequels? Yeah, if the spin-offs or prequels can add information that the originals or the original source material was unable to answer, or if there were questions that the main series of films or books don't take time to answer, then yeah, I definitely do think a prequel and a spin-off could work. And your last question is, do I want a Scream 5? Well, I will be honest with you, Mark Main. I've never been a fan of the Scream franchise. I mean, I think I've seen, like, the first 3 Scream films, and, like, they're okay, but I have not seen the 4th Scream film, but I'm sure it went through this, you know, the regular practices of the other films, and you can really do this with just about any, like, horror slasher film. I mean, you know what to expect going in, so there's really no, like, horror aspect of it. And with that is all the questions that you guys sent to me this week. I'd like to thank the 3 of you guys for sending in your great set of questions. If you like this episode of Other People's Questions, feel free to like, comment down below, and please subscribe to check for my future episodes of Other People's Questions. And be sure to send in as many questions as you want down below. And the more questions that you guys send me in, the longer I can make these gameplay videos. And like always, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time.